on. And we're going to be started off with Orquidea. Now, Orquidea lives and breathes diversional and recreational therapy. So she is, amongst many other things, the National Therapeutic Recreational Specialist for Summerset, the chair of the New Zealand Society of Diversional and Recreational Therapists, and co-chair of Allied Health Aotearoa. And so thank you so much to Teresa, to Orquidea, who's going to be starting us off just thinking about that idea of activities.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that introduction. I really, really appreciate it. And Atamarie, Tefano, lovely to see you all. So I will start by sharing my slides, and please let me know if you can see them. Okay. So yeah, all good, awesome. So look, I thought I will share with you today because it is a very special day for me, by the way, and for everyone that is a diversional and a recreational therapist. I wanted to share with you, is it just activities, or actually is it meaningful activities? So number one, happy Diversional and Recreational Therapy Awareness Week to every single one of you out there. So if you know a diversional or a recreational therapist, please ensure to acknowledge them. They do an amazing job. A little bit about me. So you probably have noticed the sexy Latin American accent. So I was born in Mexico. Ko Hingarangi Olmeca Zapote de Facapaparangamay. So that's my people, where I come from in Mexico. I was born in Coatzacoalcos, Veracruz. Ko San Martin Temaunga, that's my mountain. Ko Coatzacoalcos Tiagua, that's my river. Gulf of Mexico, Temoana. So I come from the side of the Atlantic Ocean. No Mexico, how? I have two homes, and not that I own two homes, because I don't, but it's home is a feeling. So my homes are Aotearoa in Mexico. I live in Tamaki Makoro, Kuamado Tokupapa, Koester Tokumama. Those are my parents. Kolois Tokutane, that's my husband. Orquidea Tokuinoa, Noreira, Tenakoto, Tenatatukatoa. A little bit of the content that I would like to share with all of you today, and why meaningful activities are so important, not only for us, but also for the people that we support or the people that we care. So what is diversional and recreational therapy? What is that about? What is the practice? What are the approaches? What are the domains of leisure? What are the difference between just an activity of daily living? What is a meaningful activity? And what is therapeutic recreation? How can we hack those happy hormones through the use of leisure? A couple of case studies, and then just some conclusions. So I just would like to ask Susan to keep an eye on me, because otherwise I just keep talking, and I really would like to respect the time that I have been given. So number one is the profession. So look, therapeutic recreation is a person-centered healthcare profession, but we use evidence-based interventions. In this case, is to improve health and well-being. And when I say to optimize health, it's not just the fact of someone that is able-bodied. It's across the lifespan. It could be anyone from when we are a child till the day we die. So therapeutic recreation is a process, and we use the API process, which is not exclusive to therapeutic recreation specialists, occupational therapies, physiotherapies. A lot of healthcare professionals use them. However, the difference is that we focus on specific domains of well-being. So we acknowledge that there are clinical needs that are specific to every person. However, my focus is on how am I going to be able to meet those needs from the therapeutic recreation point of view. How am I going to be using specific activities that will be meaningful to the person, that have the power to optimize health and to enhance quality of life? Who is the diversional and the recreational therapist? And look, that's the official name in the country. However, you might find that people call them with different names depending on the organization that they work with. It might be activities coordinator, lifestyle manager. That really depends on the organization. However, a person that is a diversional and a recreational therapist is someone that is qualified and registered, someone that has actually done the training and has a current APC to practice therapeutic recreation. Where do we work? Well, we work in a lot of healthcare places. We work with GPs, registered nurses, psychologists, social workers, PTs, SLTs, music therapists, dance therapists. But the focus that we have is on developing and enhancing those specific well-being domains. Cognitive health, social health, cultural health, emotional health, spiritual health. And we acknowledge that there is a clinical assessment. We get to know what is happening from the clinical point of view, and that's important. However, my focus will be on understanding who is the person in front of me. So the name or the name that they would like to be called with, or the nickname, what are the spiritual needs that they have, the cultural needs, what makes them happy, what makes them sad. And then I will be able to identify what are the things that I need to put in place to enhance and to optimize the health of that person. So there are 4 different approaches to therapeutic recreation. And look, this is super interesting because every time that I talk to anyone, including a family member, a friend, we do things because we feel good. So some people like walking, some people like reading, some people like swimming. However, it's rarely when I find someone that actually understands why recreation is so important for health and well-being. We do it, but sometimes we don't understand the science behind that. And what I would like to share with all of you today is a little bit of what's that science so that we understand how to support ourselves better. And this way it's easy to understand how to support the people that we are supporting and caring for on daily basis to practical tips. So the first one is recreation services. And look, those ones are all the services that we can access and the way that we experience leisure and the benefits of leisure. Then we have therapeutic recreation. Now, this one is more focused on specific interventions, okay? For example, supporting someone through the use of a specific leisure abilities to develop coping skills. When we are working with people living with dementia, we use what we call an umbrella or a combined approach. Now, we use recreation as a subjective continuation of enjoyable activities, which is what people call meaningful activities. So what we are doing in here is through the recreation services, we are bringing purposeful engagement and we are bringing change into the life of that person. To do that, we need to understand the person, okay? And then we have what is called the leisure ability approach. Now, this approach is specific. You need to have a proper care plan and a very clear goal, and you need to be part of a multidisciplinary team. A great example is recreational therapists that are working in addiction services. Now, domains of leisure. This is super important because sometimes, like I said, I come across people and everyone likes to do something for fun, okay? But sometimes we actually do not understand what leisure it actually means for us. One, leisure refers to that time that we have where we spend away from everyday responsibilities. So it's not when you are working, it's not when we are doing the cleaning in the house, okay? But it's the time that we have to rest, to relax, and to enjoy life. We have leisure awareness. Now, leisure awareness is my personal understanding on how I choose to use or to spend that leisure time, okay? Then we have leisure attitudes. My leisure attitudes are my individual beliefs about the qualities, about the virtues, about characteristics or benefits of leisure. For example, joining a club. I'm going to be developing friendships, or I'm going to be renewing my energy. Then we have leisure skills. Leisure skills are those things where we that serve us as a way of socializing, relaxing, unwinding. It might be a specific hobby that you have. Then we have community integration skills. These ones are practical, social, and community living skills that we apply in community settings. How we are able to contribute and to continue to thrive. And then that takes us to community participation. And community participation is when we are referring to the involvement and engagement in various aspects of decision making. So when I am making the choice of going to Zumba class, okay? So I am actually making a choice on doing that. And then we have what is known as cultural and social behaviors. Once again, that has to do with my attitudes, my values, my beliefs, and how, for example, going to Zumba, it's important to me because Zumba involves maybe Latin American music, and that is heavily linked to my own personal values. And then we have interpersonal skills, and those ones are the skills that we use on a daily basis that are required so that we can effectively communicate with each other. These ones are all the domains of leisure, and we use them on a daily basis. However, sometimes we don't really stop to think about, how this is impacting my health and my well-being. What is what? Okay, because sometimes we get confused. And sometimes I have heard people saying, come on, let's go and do an activity. Remember, an activity can be meaningful or it can be meaningless. Okay, so we have to be, I suppose, language is quite powerful. And sometimes we just have to be mindful on how we use it. So an activity is anything that we do. Reading a book, showering, waking up, stretching, everything that we do. An activity of daily living, which have a very strong focus in care environments, normally involve things about, looking after ourselves or caring for someone else, providing someone with a shower or supporting someone to eat their meal during the day. And then you have that special domain, which is the meaningful activity, where we can make any activity into something that is meaningful for the person. This one is an individual process. This one is not a blanket approach, okay? And the last one is the therapeutic recreation intervention. This one is, once again, specific to the person. So when people will say, this person seems to be, quite lonely, they look depressed. And if they actually do have a diagnosis, then maybe they might need a specific interventions that need to be measured. It might be 1 week, 3 months, 6 months, a whole year, so that you can review. And then you need to have a specific objectives as part of that. So we need to understand what is what. Now, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I would like you to put your answers on the chat if you want to, okay? What recreational activities do you enjoy doing on your own? What are some things that you really enjoy doing on your own that you don't want anyone around you when you are doing that? Reading, gardening, baking, puzzles, baking, cooking. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, next question. What recreational activities do you enjoy doing with someone else? Dancing, karaoke, barbecues, sing along, shopping, going on vacation, exercise. Fantastic. Now, what are recreational activities you would like to try? Things that probably you haven't been courageous enough to get out there and do it. Salsa, bungee jumping, pottery, playing golf, skydiving, Zumba dancing, racing, Pilates, climbing Mount Everest. Okay, yeah, awesome. Awesome. Now, the next one is, so what are recreational activities you would like to get back into? So those things that probably you used to do a lot and then life happens. And now you are like, probably not, I'm too old for that, or probably I shouldn't be doing that any longer. What are those things that you would like to get back into? Oh, martial arts, badminton, going to disco, fishing, volleyball, singing, playing the violin, boxing. Amazing. That's awesome. Now, how many times do we actually think about this in this way? That's a question for use. Yeah. But just the fact of thinking about this is giving us a smile in the face. And I am not making this up. This is linked to positive psychology. Sometimes it's just the fact about thinking of something that we have done that has brought us a lot of happiness. We want to repeat that behavior again. Okay? So thank you so much for sharing that. I really do appreciate it. Now, research. There is a lot of research out there that actually talks about why engaging in meaningful or significant activities or recreation or purposeful engagement is good for our well-being. But the most important one for me is that recreation is actually a human right. And we forget about that. And particularly when we are working with people living with dementia, or if we're supporting a family member or a friend that is living with dementia, there is this assumption that they might not be able to do anything else any longer, or they do not have the ability to enjoy things any longer. The truth is that is the why. And we do have a big challenge, for example, if we are a family member, because we are always seeking for the person that we knew before the diagnosis of dementia. But there are many different ways on how we can continue to support them. How many of you have come across this, or would you have even said this in the past? Time flies when you are having fun. Do we think that that's true? It is, isn't it? And look, and this is once again, it has to, this is linked to what is happening in our beautiful brains, okay? So when we have this unexpectedly release or boost of dopamine, which is a happy hormone that we are releasing, what is happening in there when we're having so much fun, we think that the time is going faster because we all have this subjective sense of time. So when we are having fun and we say time flies when you're having fun, in this case, time is growing faster than time itself. So that's the perception that we have. So that short amount of time actually seems longer than what they are. Yeah. So think about if we were to use leisure intentionally through a specific recreational activity that we know is going to be linked to fun, that we know that fun is going to be enhancing our well-being, that we know it's going to be creating these feelings of pleasure, reward, and that it's going to be making us to want to repeat a specific behavior. So in this case, that's when we say time flies when we're having fun. So it's science. It's not me making this up today, okay? So how can we do to continue to nurture our brain for meaningful activity or meaningful experiences? Look, I believe that we are all aware about the happy hormones. And if we are not, it's something good to be aware of. So our brain releases these neurotransmitters, and they are known as the happy hormones, and it's 4 of them. So in the case of dopamine, it plays a role in important body functions. For example, movement, memory, reward, and motivation. When we think about endorphins, they are known as pain relief. So they alleviate pain, they lower stress, they improve our mood. When we think about oxytocin, this neurotransmitter plays an important role around social bonding, around love, about reproduction. When we think about serotonin, it plays a key role in our mood, okay, and sleep, digestion. So we have 4 happy hormones. How can we actually nurture them in a way that is going to continue to help us to enhance our well-being? Many times when I am working with people that are working with people living with dementia, they all have this focus on the triggers. And there is nothing wrong because, things might go wrong in any time, and then we're going to have that reaction, and emotions can change, and something is going to trigger someone. However, from the therapeutic recreation point of view, and being aware on how I can nurture my brain through meaningful experiences, I focus on glimmers. And those glimmers are those small moments that spark joy or that spark peace. And that's when our nervous system is in a state of so good regulation and connection that's when we feel safe and we feel calm. And once again, can you imagine if we focus more on this on daily basis, not only when something happens or when something goes wrong? Look, this is just like a little tool for anyone, and it's something that I have actually developed for a number of years for myself. Yeah. And it seems that I have been able to successfully also implement this with my family, particularly with my nana who lives with cognitive changes back home. So we know that dopamine reward is linked to reward and motivation. And for example, when I am procrastinating, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next year. Then I know that something is happening, but that's me. I have the ability to acknowledge that. And then I will try to hack those neurotransmitters by doing specific things. I will do a to-do list. And look, and sometimes that to-do list, it might be like 100 things, and I will only be able to achieve one. But it's just the message that I am sending to my brain, reward. I am writing a to-do list that is helping me focus. These are the things that I will be completing, okay? Oxytocin, social bonding. So when I am feeling anxious or when I am feeling down, when I'm feeling like no one cares about me, I will ask my husband to give me a hug. Yeah, so I will go and annoy him until he hugs me. But that's something that I would do because I know that that's what I need and that helps me. So can you imagine if I am working with someone living with dementia and they are okay with physical space? They might just need that reassurance, okay? So moving on, we also have to be realistic about something.
Yeah, just
okay?
to say
Yes.
5 minutes.
Okay, awesome. So we have to be honest about that if someone has something specific like anhedonia and apathy, this is something that is quite real, okay? And it happens to people living with dementia. So we have to understand that this affects that part of the dopamine that is released through the brain. And there are ways that we can also help that. So look, number one, I want to say special thanks to Lagi Fina because she is the one that has allowed me to share her mom case scenario today. So Tumua, she was a very active and socially independent Samoan woman. And she used to love playing housing and all the different games that a Samoan woman will play with the families also. She used to do this with her aunties and with the other uncles, particularly when she was younger. So after she had a stroke, this severely impact her, not just her physical abilities, but also her cognitive abilities. And the family in particular was finding it really, really hard to engage. And also they could see that her emotional well-being was being compromised because Tumua wasn't feeling that she was connected as she used to do. And there was this perception among the family members that she was feeling that probably she was no longer feeling love or that people were forgetting about her simply because she didn't have the same abilities. So one of the good things about Tumua is that she was still able in a way to communicate exactly what is it that she needed. And she was still able to move one of her hands. And She just needed support with her vision. So what the family did after some consultations is they themselves created a bingo set. Because remember, she used to play housey when she was younger, and she was still doing that with her own Pacifica community when she was still independent. So it didn't take them a lot of time, and it didn't take them a lot of financial resources. So they just created a bingo set out of cardboard. They found, some of those old counters and the grandchildren, because this became kind of an intergenerational um, connection sort of activity for all of them. They drew up large numbers, so she was able to see them clearly. Now, when you think about it, this was not only relating to her own culture, but it was also relating to things that give meaning to her and to things that she was able to connect, and that it was going to be able to keep her mentally stimulated, and that it became a family affair. So after they trialed that, then they engaged her in doing ping pong, and then along came the target games and then card games. Obviously, they were adapted. The size was adapted. And I think in her particular case, it didn't cost a lot, but it was just a matter of supporting the families to understand that you already have the resources in there. This is what she likes. These are the things that you can create. And it truly facilitated meaning and connection, um, basically until the day she died. And the family were obviously very grateful that they didn't need to have expensive resources just to be able to continue to engage her in meaningful things, not only for her, but that help to bring the family all together. So that's one of the case scenarios. The second one is about Lisa. Now, this is quite interesting because we normally think about someone living with dementia from the New Zealand point of view around those type of jobs that we are used to do within 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. And this one was actually very, very interesting because when I think about Lisa, and obviously in this case, I am not using the real name of the person, and I have changed some of the details to respect privacy and confidentiality. But Lisa is 85. She's currently living with dementia. She is living in a care home. She is a former train operator. She used to live in New York. And if you are aware about, or if you have ever been into New York, you will know that trains operate almost like 24 hours a day. So they will have different shifts across the day. So she was one of those people that used to have the shift between 12 a.m. and 8 a.m. And this was for 40 years, okay? From when she was younger until she had to move into another country. Now, she tends to sleep during the day, and she didn't used to go to sleep at night. And she will normally get ready to go to work after 9 p.m. And the staff were not really clear about how are we going to be supporting Lisa. Now, we already had all the clues in there, okay? The challenge is on how staff were able to process the clues that we already knew about Lisa's life story to be able to put things into place to enhance her quality of life. So one of the questions that I normally ask is, okay, so if I know she's not sleeping during the day, this has been happening for the last couple of months, she's not sleeping at night, she's probably sleeping during the day, and she wants to get ready to go to work by 10 p.m., then I need to see what I can do to put something in place that is going to be enhancing her well-being. So some of the tips that I can provide people, that I did in this particular case, was number one, reminding the staff you need to know the person, okay? We have to validate the human that is in front of us, because sometimes there's a need in there that we need to meet. There is a way that they are trying to communicate, but we just need to find the best way to speak that language in that moment. My recommendations were, okay, so we need to look at life interest inventory. So that will include, okay, I acknowledge all the clinical needs. I am aware about what type of dementia she has. So I fully understand what part of the brain is affecting. So that's number one. Second, I need to understand the life story. And look, the life story is like a care plan. It's a living document, okay? It's a human that we're talking about. So life story is not just what we have done, but it's also what we are doing now, and it's also what is going to be happening after tomorrow. So identifying also strengths, abilities, skills, preferences, really looking at the person from a holistic way, not just in pieces. What's the physical things that need to be done? What is the medication? What is the cognition? What is the pain? What is the evacuation? No, we have to look at the person as a whole, but most importantly, what makes that person tick, what gives meaning to their life, what makes them to feel valued. So the second one was to help them to set up a routine. Yeah, so we already know the trend. She wants to go to work at 10 p.m. You know, it takes around 18 days to form a new habit. And then the average is around 66 days to become automatic. Okay. So when you think about this in a person living with dementia, and when we also think about how we can create new pathways in our brains, it is possible. The challenge is that we need to keep supporting that person on a daily basis to set up a routine. Some of the other tips were, for example, supporting her in trips that might involve going for an outing in the train here in Oakland, making a collage of the different trains or subways, because we can get those things from the magazine or print them out of the internet. Maybe get them involved in train subway related activities, maybe visiting the local train museum or a museum that might be talking about subways or an exhibition about trains, maybe watching videos of trains or subways, maybe creating a playlist, a little bit of a sensory stuff like train sounds or subway sounds. But most importantly, and something that is quite simple and that they could do on a daily basis, was to have meaningful chats with her. So in that case, if I know that she likes trains and subways, I myself as a staff member will get informed, for example, who was the person that invented the train. So in this case, I will approach Lisa and I will say, Lisa, I just learned today that so and so and so, who used to be an inventor, an explorer, was the person that invented the train. Because you never knows what you might spark, and she might even start a conversation about it. So it's just practical tips on getting to know the person, and we already had all the clues in there. It was just a matter of getting to know what we needed to do to break down that barrier of communication to meet those needs. Now, you have to also acknowledge that it depends on the person. Let me share the sound in here. Hang on. It depends on the person's culture. It depends on the person's needs. Okay, you can't just go and create an activity for the sake of creating an activity if it's not going to be meaningful to the person. So let's have a look. And please let me know if you can hear this. Excellent. So do you get to see the passion in there? Yeah. And then the last one are some simple things for people working in care homes that they can also utilize. Look, and just to finalize, basically, therapeutic recreation is a great way to create meaningful activity because at the end of the day, regardless of me living with dementia or living without dementia, we all want a life of enjoyment, a life of engagement, and a life of meaning. And when we know the why, and now you know the why is it so important to engage people in meaningful activity? The how it's easy. It's super, super easy. There are a few resources in there available. I'm pretty sure you will be able to see them when you get the recording. So all that I can say is thank you for the opportunity today. Nami hinui kia paitera. Thank you.